The guy in the Lamborghini with the custom license plate screaming for attention? He'll be broke in 10 years. The woman in the 15-year-old Volvo who just anonymously donated $2 million to the children's hospital? That's old money. And you'd never know unless you knew exactly what to look for. Here's the painful truth most people miss. Looking rich and being rich are complete opposites. New money shows wealth, logos everywhere, cars, watches, constant flexing. Old money hides wealth, quiet, invisible, generational. One screams because they're insecure. The other whispers because they have nothing to prove. I'm about to show you 7 specific signs you're dealing with generational wealth versus someone who just got their first big check and has no idea what to do with it. Sign number 7 reveals how old money gives away millions without anyone knowing, while the new rich donates 10,000 and needs a press release. If you want to understand real wealth, hit subscribe and comment old money if you've met someone like this, or new rich if all you see is flexing. Here's the first sign that separates pretenders from the real thing. Sign 1. They dress down, not up. Here's the first sign that separates pretenders from the real thing. How they dress. And it's the exact opposite of what you think. New rich people walk around looking like a Louis Vuitton store exploded on them. Gucci belt, LV bag, Supreme hoodie, logo everywhere. They need you to know they have money. It's not fashion, it's insecurity with a price tag. They're screaming, "I finally made it!" to anyone within 100 feet. Old money? You'd walk right past them in the grocery store and think they work at the DMV. Plain navy blazer. No logos. Clothes that look boring but cost more than your car. You just can't tell because there's zero branding. Mark Zuckerberg runs Facebook, worth hundreds of billions, and wears the same gray t-shirt every day. $300 Brunello Cucinelli shirts, but you'd never know because there's no giant logo. Warren Buffett drives a 2014 Cadillac and lives in a house he bought in 1958 for $31,000. Steve Jobs had his black turtleneck uniform. It cost thousands, with zero visible branding. Studies show 80% of actual millionaires shop at Walmart, Target, and Costco. Not because they're cheap, because they don't need to prove anything to anyone. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, "Let another praise you and not your own mouth." Old money lives that. They don't announce themselves. If you know, you know. If you don't, they're not telling you. Here's what old money actually wears. No visible logos anywhere. Tailored clothes in quality fabrics with zero branding. The same outfit repeatedly because decision fatigue is real, and they have more important things to think about than impressing strangers. Items they've owned for 10 to 20 years that still look perfect because they bought quality once. Brands you've never even heard of, bespoke tailors, heritage makers, family craftsmen who don't advertise. New rich? Different outfit every day for Instagram validation. Fast fashion luxury that's trendy, disposable, and screaming for attention. Brands everyone recognizes because that's the entire point. Supreme, Off-White, flashy status symbols they bought specifically so you'd notice. Want to spot old money in the wild? Look at their shoes. Old money wears quality leather. Old, impeccably maintained. New rich wear brand new Yeezys with the tags still visible. Check the watch. Old money has an inherited Patek Philippe. Plain face, no diamonds, worth $200,000. Looks like a $50 Timex. The new rich have an iced out Rolex screaming, "Look at me, I have money." There's a tech entrepreneur I know who sold his startup for $15 million. First thing he did, Gucci everything. Lamborghini, designer head to toe. Walked into a charity event flexing harder than a bodybuilder. Ran into an old client wearing a plain navy suit, no logos, a 20-year-old watch that looked boring. The tech bros spent the whole night trying to impress this guy, name-dropping, talking about his cars, his watches, his success. The client just smiled and said nothing. Later, the entrepreneur found out that boring guy was from a family worth $400 million who founded their company in the 1890s. 4 generations. Still running. The entrepreneur told me later, I was screaming because I was insecure about finally having money. He was silent because he had nothing to prove. I looked rich. He was rich, and I'll never forget the difference. New money screams, old money whispers. Logos are for people who need validation from strangers. Quality is for people who don't care what strangers think. But the quiet clothes are just the surface level difference. Here's where the real gap shows, and it's something 90% of people never think about. Sign 2, generational thinking, 100-year plans versus quick wins. Because here's where the real gap shows, how they think about time. And this one separates people who build empires from people who blow through millions in a decade. The new rich think in months and quarters. How do I 10x this money this year? What car should I buy with this bonus? How do I look successful right now? It's all immediate, all short-term, all about them, today, this moment. Old money thinks in generations, not years, generations. What will my great-grandchildren inherit? How does this decision affect the family in 50 years? What are we building that outlasts all of us? They're planting trees they'll never sit under, building legacies they'll never see completed. Look at the Rockefeller family. 7 generations deep, still wealthy, and started in the 1870s. Then look at the Vanderbilts, one of the richest families in American history. Lost the entire fortune by generation 3 because they spent it instead of thinking generationally. One family thought for centuries, the other thought in lifetimes. Guess which one's still around? Benjamin Franklin proved this perfectly in his will. He left $5,000 to Boston and Philadelphia with one simple instruction: invest it for 200 years. Don't touch it. Just let time and compound interest work. People thought he'd lost his mind. 200 years, we'll all be dead. Yeah, that was exactly the point. After 200 years, that $5,000 had grown to over 20 million. 20 million from 5,000 because one guy understood generational thinking and had the discipline to look beyond his own lifetime. There's a proverb that says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Not just your kids, your grandkids you'll never meet. That's generational thinking. That's old money. New Rich asks, how do I spend this money now to feel successful? What can I buy today that makes me look rich? How do I maximize my lifestyle immediately? It's all consumption, all immediate gratification, all about them. Old money asks completely different questions. How does this financial decision impact the family in 2075? What are we building that our great-grandchildren will benefit from? What values and wealth structures do we pass to generation 4, 5, 6? And their actions reflect it. Old money sets up trusts for grandchildren who haven't been born yet. They run family businesses that have been passed down for over 100 years. They create education funds for great-grandchildren they'll never meet. They hold land for centuries and never sell because this has been in our family since 1820, and it'll be here in 2120. New rich? They blow through their windfall in 5 years on cars, clothes, and houses they can't actually afford to maintain. No estate plan because I'll figure that out when I'm older. YOLO mentality. You only live once, so spend it all now. Assets get sold the moment they need quick cash for the next lifestyle upgrade. Want to spot a generational thinker? Ask them about their 10-year plan. The new rich will give you vague personal goals about income and lifestyle. Old money will talk about family legacy, institutional impact, multi-generational wealth transfer structures that won't even fully activate until they're dead. Listen for them casually mentioning my great-grandfather in conversation. They talk about ancestors like they knew them personally, because family history is personal history. Notice if they own anything 50+ years old that's still in daily use. That chair, that watch, that land. Those aren't antiques to them. They're family continuity. There's a real estate developer I know who made $50 million in 10 years. Bought the mansion, the cars, the boats, the whole lifestyle. Then he met an old money family at a business dinner and asked their secret to multi-generational wealth. The patriarch walked him outside, pointed at the massive oak trees. My great-grandfather planted these in 1910. I'll never sit in their full shade. But my great-grandchildren will. I'm planting different trees right now for my great-grandchildren to enjoy in 2080. You're cutting down trees to build a bonfire that'll burn out in 5 years. That conversation changed everything. The developer sold most of his toys, restructured everything for legacy, and started teaching his kids actual wealth principles instead of just spending. 10 years later, he's building trusts, generational investment strategies, and family governance structures. He told me, I was building a lifestyle that would die with me. Now I'm building a dynasty that outlasts me. I was thinking in years, now I think in centuries. That's the whole difference between new rich and old money. New money thinks in paychecks and years. Old money thinks in centuries and legacies. One chases quarterly wins. The other builds empires designed to last forever. And that long-term thinking shows up most obviously in what they actually value and spend money on. Sign 3. Education and culture over material things. And that long-term thinking shows up most obviously in what they actually value and spend money on. And this is where you can instantly tell who's faking it. New rich people flex cars, watches, designer clothes, all depreciating assets that lose value the second they drive off the lot or walk out of the store. Old money? They're dropping $50,000 a year on private school tuition, classical music lessons, language tutors, museum memberships, and cultural experiences you'd never see on Instagram. One buys things. The other invests in knowledge and refinement. Look at old money spending priorities. Private education is non-negotiable, $50,000 per kid per year, and they have 3 kids. Classical music lessons from age 5. Piano, violin, cello. Language tutors so their kids speak French, Mandarin, and Spanish fluently by 18. Travel for cultural education, not beach resorts and Instagram photos. Opera subscriptions, museum board memberships, charitable foundations. Then, if there's money left over, maybe some material goods. But that's the distant last priority. New rich? First purchase is a $150,000 car. Then designer clothes, bottle service at clubs, an expensive watch to flex. Maybe education gets some attention if there's money left over. Spoiler, there isn't, because they spent it all looking rich instead of becoming educated. Warren Buffett spends more on books annually than he does on cars. His entire investment philosophy is built on one principle. The best investment you can have is in yourself, not in a Lamborghini. In yourself. There's a proverb that says, wisdom is worth more than rubies. Old money families live this. They know that education and culture create opportunities that material possessions never will. The new rich ignore it completely, then wonder why their kids grow up entitled and useless. Here's what old money children look like by age 18. Speaking 3 to 4 languages fluently. Classically trained on at least one instrument, usually piano or violin, 10+ years of training. Well-traveled to 40+ countries for cultural immersion, not all-inclusive resorts. Read extensively in classic literature, philosophy, and history. Educated at elite institutions, not just for the degree, but for the network that lasts a lifetime. New rich children, dressed in designer baby clothes while their education gets whatever's left over. Public school because the parents are saving money for another car. iPad babysitter from age 2, 0 cultural education. Spoiled with toys and material things, never taught actual values or life skills. Want to spot old money? Listen to their conversations. They reference literature, art history, classical music, and philosophy. They've been to 40 countries, and they talk about cultural experiences, not which resort had the best poolside bar. Their home library is larger than their closet. Their kids are in Suzuki violin and Mandarin immersion, not in the latest designer sneakers. There's an entrepreneur I know who made $10 million and immediately bought the Lamborghini, the Rolex, the penthouse. Got invited to dinner with an old money family. The conversation turned to classical music, European history, Renaissance art, and philosophy. He had absolutely nothing to contribute. Completely lost. Sat there in his designer outfit feeling like an idiot while they discussed Beethoven and Baroque architecture. That night, he realized something painful. They were educated, rich. He was just money rich. They had a wealth of mind and wallet. He just had the wallet, and it showed. He sold the Lamborghini the next week. Used that money for an executive MBA, language immersion programs, French and Mandarin, cultural education, travel across Europe and Asia, and classical music appreciation courses. 2 years later, completely different person. Deeper conversations, better business decisions, and more respect in rooms that actually matter. He told me, "I thought flexing material things would make me successful. Turns out education and culture make you valuable. One gets you Instagram likes, the other gets you into rooms where real wealth is built." New money buys things to show wealth. Old money invests in knowledge to become wealthy in mind, spirit, and capability. One collects objects that depreciate, the other collects experiences and wisdom that are appreciated forever. And that obsession with quality over flash extends to absolutely everything they purchase, and more importantly, how they purchase it. Sign 4. Buy once, keep forever, over quantity. And that obsession with quality over flash extends to absolutely everything they purchase. This is where old money's philosophy gets almost painful to watch if you've been doing it wrong your whole life. New rich people are always shopping. New car every 3 years. New wardrobe every season. New furniture every 5 years to keep up with trends. They're on a hamster wheel of consumption, constantly buying, constantly replacing, constantly spending. Old money? They made most of their major purchase decisions 20 to 50 years ago. They're not shopping. They finished shopping in 1985. They bought quality once, maintained it perfectly, and they're still using it. Their philosophy is brutally simple. Buy quality or buy twice. Queen Elizabeth II wore the same coat for over 25 years. Not because she couldn't afford a new one, but because the coat was tailored perfectly once and maintained impeccably. Why would she replace something that still works perfectly? Old money families have furniture from the 1800s still in daily use. Cars are maintained so well that they run for 15 to 20 years. They hate waste. They hate replacing things unnecessarily. New rich? Lease a new car every 3 years, which means they never actually own anything and they're making permanent payments. Furniture gets replaced every 5 years when the trend changes. Fast fashion everything, clothes, accessories, home goods. If it's trendy, it's temporary. Studies of people with 5 million plus net worth show they keep cars an average of 11 years. People pretending to be wealthy? New car every 3 years, bleeding money on depreciation. Let me show you the math that should make you rethink everything. Old money buys a bespoke suit for $3,000. Wears it for 30 years with minor tailoring adjustments. Cost per year? $100. Quality leather shoes for $500. Resold 5 times, lasted 20 years. $25 annually. Handmade furniture for $10,000 that lasts 100 years? $100 per year, and their great-grandkids will inherit it. The new rich buy a fast fashion suit for $300 that falls apart in 2 years. That's $150 per year for worse quality. Cheap shoes at $100 annually for 20 years? $2,000 total for garbage quality, compared to $500 once for excellence. IKEA furniture for $1,000 breaks in 5 years, replaced 4 times over 20 years. $4,000 for junk versus $10,000 for something that lasts a century. You're not saving money by buying cheaply. You're just paying more slowly while getting worse quality the entire time. Here's how to spot old money purchasing behavior. They research for months before buying anything significant. Not impulse, strategic. They ask about cost per wear or cost per use. Long-term thinking built into every decision. Their philosophy is repair first, replace last. They own items that are 20 to 50 years old and still in perfect condition because maintenance is sacred. There's a woman who visited her old money aunt's home for dinner. The aunt was cooking with a cast iron pan and mentioned casually, "This was my grandmother's from 1920, sitting on furniture from the 1950s. wearing a watch from the 1970s. Everything is in perfect condition, meticulously maintained. The niece, who had a new money mindset, asked, "Why don't you just buy new stuff? You can afford it." Her aunt stopped cooking and looked at her like she'd said something insane. "Why would I? This pan works perfectly. This furniture is more solid than anything made today. This watch keeps better time than a new Rolex. Quality lasts. I bought it once. You buy repeatedly. I own things. You consume things. Now tell me, which one of us sounds richer?" That question changed the niece's entire purchasing philosophy. She stopped shopping constantly, started buying quality once and keeping it forever. 5 years later, she spent less total but owns better things that will last decades. She told me, "I was on a consumption treadmill, always buying, never satisfied. My aunt finished shopping 30 years ago and just maintains what she has. She's not a consumer, she's an owner. And ownership is so much cheaper than endless consumption." New money consumes endlessly, always shopping, always replacing, always chasing the next thing. Old money purchased decades ago maintains perfectly and never thinks about shopping because they already own everything they need. But perhaps the single biggest difference isn't what they own or how they buy it. It's who they know and how they built those relationships over generations. Sign 5. Network over transactions. Last generations. But perhaps the single biggest difference isn't what they own or how they buy it. It's who they know and how they built those relationships. And this one separates people who build lasting empires from people who burn through connections faster than they burn through money. The new rich treat relationships like transactions. What can you do for me right now? If the answer is nothing, they're not interested. They switch lawyers, banks, accountants, and business partners, constantly chasing a better deal. Save 2%. Burn a 20-year relationship. That's the trade they make without thinking twice. Old money? They've used the same family lawyer for 5 generations. Same private bank for 80 years. Same tailor for 60 years. These aren't transactions. They're relationships. And relationships are worth more than money. Always. Here's what the new rich doesn't understand. Trust takes decades to build and seconds to destroy. Old money families play an infinite game. They'll take a worse deal to preserve a relationship because they know that relationship will pay dividends for the next 50 years across opportunities they can't even predict yet. There's a proverb that says, "A good name is more desirable than great riches." Old money lives this. They'll choose reputation over profit every single time because once your name is damaged, no amount of money fixes it. Look at the Rothschild banking empire, built over 200 years on one foundation: trust. They had a family rule that one lie, one betrayal, one broken promise would destroy the family name forever. So they chose protecting their reputation over short-term profits for 2 centuries. That's why they're still around. New rich ask, "What's in it for me?" Before every introduction, every business deal, every relationship. If there's no immediate ROI, they're out. Old money introduces people who should know each other with zero benefit to themselves. They're playing an infinite game where relationships compound like investments. Old money networking looks like this. Same country club for 4 generations. Not to network, but because these are their people. Children go to the same schools their grandparents attended. The network is inherited. Your grandfather's relationships become your relationships. Family friends they've known for 60 years. They help people with zero expectation of return, because that's what you do when you think generationally. New rich networking? Join clubs specifically to make connections and get kicked out the moment money gets tight. Every introduction is transactional. I'll intro you to him if you intro me to her. No institutional relationships, so they start from zero every time. And their network dies with them because they built nothing worth passing down. Want to spot old money relationships? They casually mention family friends who knew their grandfather. They've used the same doctor or lawyer for 30+ years. They're active in alumni networks, not for jobs, but because these are lifetime relationships. They help people constantly with absolutely zero expectation of return. There's a startup founder who screwed over an early investor to get an extra 1% equity. Thought he was being smart. Got his 1%. Destroyed the relationship. 10 years later, he desperately needed capital for his next venture. That investor's network, which included everyone who mattered in Silicon Valley, was closed to him. Completely shut out. That 1% equity decision cost him $50 million in lost opportunities over the next decade because nobody would touch him. Word spreads in old money circles. Burn one bridge, you've burned 100. You didn't even know existed. He met an old money entrepreneur years later who had given away equity to maintain relationships. The founder asked, "Don't you want to maximize your ownership?" The old money entrepreneur looked at him like he was speaking a foreign language. "I don't maximize equity. I maximize relationships. Equity comes and goes. Markets crash. Companies fail. But trust lasts generations. My family has done business with the same families for 80 years. That network has created more value than any equity percentage ever could. You optimized for points. I optimized for people. Guess which one actually built lasting wealth?" The startup founder told me, "I played a finite game and won a battle. He played an infinite game and won the war. I got 1% more and lost access to 50 years of accumulated trust. That's the dumbest trade I've ever made." New money optimizes transactions and wins short term. Old money optimizes relationships and wins across generations. One plays finite games for immediate profit. The other plays infinite games that compound trust for decades. And those carefully built relationships are protected by something new. Rich completely fails to understand the power of invisibility and discretion. Sign 6, stealth wealth, invisible rich versus visible rich. And those carefully built relationships are protected by something new. Rich completely fails to understand privacy, discretion, strategic invisibility, the power of people not knowing you're wealthy. The new rich need you to know they have money. It's a validation addiction. Custom license plates, mansion in the luxury zip code, Instagram every purchase, name dropping constantly. Their entire identity is wrapped up in people knowing they're rich. Take that away, and they don't know who they are. Old money, they actively prefer you don't know. Not because they're ashamed, because privacy is security, and security is priceless. Studies show that 78% of millionaires live in modest neighborhoods, not luxury areas. They could afford the mansion district. They choose not to because invisibility has value. Warren Buffett is worth over $100 billion and lives in the house he bought in 1958 in Omaha, Nebraska. Drives an old Cadillac. Dresses like a middle-class retiree. You'd walk past him in the grocery store and think he's someone's accountant. That's intentional. That's strategy. Here's what stealth wealth actually looks like. Driving a Camry or Accord. Reliable, invisible, nobody looks twice. Living in an upper middle-class neighborhood, not a mansion district. Zero social media presence. Privacy is sacred. Digital footprints are dangerous. Cash transactions when possible to avoid digital trails. No flex, no logos, zero announcement of wealth. New rich? Lamborghini with vanity plates that say Rich F. Mansion in the zip code everyone knows is expensive. Instagram stories of every purchase, every vacation, every flex. Humble brag posts constantly. Fake modesty covering real desperation for validation. Why does old money stay invisible? 4 reasons. Security. Kidnappers don't target people they don't know are rich. Privacy. They don't want strangers knowing their business. Humility. Showing off is classless and insecure. And most importantly, they don't need external validation because they're secure in who they are. Old money wealth is held in trusts, not personal names. Investments are private, never public bragging. Homes are titled to LLCs for privacy. No press, no interviews, no attention ever. Children are taught from birth. Never discuss family finances outside the family, ever. You want to spot stealth wealth in the wild? They deflect money questions immediately. We do okay and change the subject. Their possessions are old and impeccably maintained, quality without flash. Their home looks modest from the outside, but inside it's impeccable. custom everything, just invisible to outsiders. They never, ever mention money first in conversation. There's a billionaire's grandson I know, trust fund kid, family worth 800 million. He drove a Prius, lived in a normal apartment, and worked a regular job at a non-profit. His coworkers had absolutely no idea his family owned half the commercial real estate downtown. Why? His grandfather's rule: never let money define you. If people know you're rich before they know your character, they'll treat you differently forever. Some will want your money. Some will resent you for having it. Better they know you for who you are, not what you have. The grandson lived this way until he was 35. Normal apartment, normal car, normal life. Then he revealed his wealth when buying a company and bringing his coworkers in as partners. They were absolutely shocked. "We had no idea. We thought you were just like us." He smiled and said, "That was exactly the point. You judged me on my work ethic, my character, and my contributions, not my bank account. You became my friends because you liked me, not my money. That's worth more than any amount of wealth." He told me later, the new rich announce their wealth because they need validation. Old money hides it because we value authentic relationships. If someone knows you're rich before they know you, you'll never know if they like you or your money. Invisibility protects what matters most: real relationships. New money announces wealth and seeks validation. Old money hides wealth and values privacy. One needs everyone to know. The other prefers nobody knows. Invisible wealth is real wealth. Visible wealth is insecurity with a price tag. And that humility, that invisibility, that quiet confidence extends to the final and perhaps most revealing sign of all: how they give money away. Sign 7. Giving as duty, not tax write-off. Philanthropy youth. And that humility, that invisibility, that quiet confidence extends to the final and perhaps most revealing sign of all: how they give money away. This one exposes motivation faster than anything else. The new rich give money for 3 reasons: tax write-offs, social credit, and PR. They donate $10,000 and need a press release, an Instagram post, and a plaque with their name in giant letters. The giving isn't the point. The recognition is the point. If nobody knows they gave, did it even count? Old money gives anonymously as duty, regardless of tax benefits or recognition. They donate millions and actively fight to keep their name off buildings, not because they're shy, because the giving itself is the reward. Recognition would corrupt the purity of it. Look at Carnegie, Rockefeller, and the original Vanderbilts. They built libraries, universities, and hospitals across America. Anonymous donations for decades. They gave away 90% of their wealth, with 0 press releases, 0 naming rights they controlled, and 0 public credit. Why? Giving was a responsibility that came with wealth, not an opportunity for publicity. Modern new rich? Donate 10,000, post it on Instagram with hashtags, call the local news, need everyone to know how generous they are. The motivation isn't impact, it's ego. They're buying social credit, not creating change. Jesus taught this directly. When you give, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give so secretly that even you almost forget you did it. That's real generosity. Everything else is just PR disguised as charity. Studies show old money families donate 7 to 12% of their income annually, every year, like clockwork. New rich, 1 to 2%, and only when there's a tax benefit or cameras involved. One gives from duty. The other comes from strategy. Here's what old money giving actually looks like. Donations are completely anonymous. No plaques, no naming rights, no recognition. Family foundations are structured to give generationally, not emotionally. 10+% of income or wealth goes to charity annually, non-negotiable. Focus areas are education, culture, and institutions that last. Libraries, universities, and hospitals. Motivation is pure. Duty, responsibility, stewardship of wealth. New rich giving? Every donation is announced publicly. Press releases, social media, interviews about giving back. Donations are one-off and emotional. Disaster relief for optics, trendy causes for social credit. Minimal percentage of actual wealth, 1 to 2% max. Focus is whatever's trending, this month's viral cause. Motivation is transparent. tax deduction, publicity, ego validation. Want to spot old money giving? Buildings or scholarships are named after their family, but they never mention it. You have to discover it yourself. They serve on nonprofit boards unpaid, giving time and money. They donate the same amount regardless of what tax year it is, because it's a duty, not a tax strategy. Their children are taught that giving is a responsibility of wealth, not optional charity. There's a university library that's been standing for 100 years. The name on it? Anonymous Donor 1923. A full century later, the family identity is still secret. A reporter finally tracked down the descendants and asked them directly, "Why stay anonymous after all this time? Your great-grandfather's long gone. Why not take credit now?" The current family patriarch looked at her like she'd missed the entire point. "My great-grandfather said something I've never forgotten. If you give for recognition, you've already been paid. The recognition was your payment. But if you give for impact, the impact itself is the reward, and that reward lasts forever." He continued, "We give because we have much and therefore owe much. It's not charity, it's duty. Recognition would corrupt that. It would make it about us instead of about the people we're helping." Every generation of our family has given 10% minimum since 1923. Not for tax breaks. Those came and went. Not for recognition. We've refused it for a century. Because giving is what you do when you've been blessed with resources beyond your needs. The family has donated over $400 million across a century. 0 press releases, 0 plaques they controlled, 0 public credit. Just quiet, consistent, generational giving that transformed thousands of lives. The patriarch told me privately, "New money gives to be seen as generous. Old money gives to be generous. One wants applause, the other wants impact. Real giving doesn't require an audience. It requires a conscience and a commitment that outlasts you." New money gives credit and recognition. Old money comes from duty and conscience. One needs the world to know. The other needs the world to be better. True generosity doesn't seek applause, it seeks change and accepts anonymity as the cost of purity. All of the above reveals one truth most people completely miss about wealth. So there they are, 7 signs that separate old money from new rich. Quiet luxury with 0 logos, generational thinking beyond your lifetime, education and culture over material things, buy once and keep forever, relationships over transactions, stealth wealth and strategic invisibility, and giving as duty without recognition. New money screams, old money whispers. One needs validation, the other doesn't care what you think. Here's what matters. You don't need old money to think like old money. Start today. Buy quality over quantity. Think long-term, not quarterly. Build real relationships, not transactions. Give anonymously. Live below your means. Invest in education and culture, not logos and flex. Hit subscribe if this changed how you see wealth. Comment which sign shocked you most. Drop a number 1 through 7. Or comment, old money mindset, if you're adopting these principles regardless of your current bank account. Want a deep dive on old money investment strategies or building generational wealth from zero? Comment, investments or legacy. Old money isn't about how much you have, it's about how you think. Choose wisely.